Good morning, fellow orchid lovers. It's Danielle here with my Transferring Orchids to Water Culture Day 2 video. So I just wanted to give you a brief pan around the orchid room so you can see what's going on. Lots of blooms. Just love coming in here and just watching all the beautiful blooms. I also wanted to apologize. During the series, I went back and I rewatched the series that I posted for you guys, and I was getting the beginnings of a migraine, and so I noticed that in the series I have a tendency to repeat myself and not speak as succinctly as I usually do, and I just want to apologize for that. I did really want to get the video done for you because you guys were asking for it, and I was putting it off until the time was good, and I figured if I don't do it now, I won't do it for a while. And unfortunately my migraine has lasted for about 3 to 4 days. I still have a little bit of it now. It's not really a migraine at this point, but it's lingering. It's telling me if I'm not careful it will come back, so I just have to be really careful. So I just wanted to show you, it's actually technically day 3, it's not even day 2. I wanted to show you how I water these babies. So as I said, it's technically day 3, so they've been dry a little bit longer than I would typically want them to be, but unfortunately, I just wasn't well enough. I watered the cattleyas, but I just wasn't well enough to do anything, and I knew that they would be fine. As you can see, there's no real ill effects to the roots. The dendrobium's a little drier than I would like, but her new roots, the roots that are important, still look fine. The Phalaenopsis, their root systems are completely fine, so I'll show you how I water them so that you'll know what kind of levels I use. You'll notice that I did switch the tropic lily. So on camera, I put her in a larger vase together, but she wasn't really stable, and she does have flower spikes. So I decided to put her in smaller glasses. I put some pebbles on the bottom so she can have humidity, and then I put her in, and I put a few pebbles on the roots themselves just to stabilize her, because again, I don't want to pot her until I know whether her roots are viable or not. So we'll just go ahead and water a few of them. I'm trying something new with my phone. I have a little clip to hold it from falling over so I can show you. Let's just see if it'll work. There we go. So we'll do the Secret Smile. So I'll just put a little water in. And she has a massive root system. I unpotted her off camera, and I had trouble getting her in this vase. She has so many roots. So hopefully she keeps most of them, but we'll see. So as you can see, just the very bottom of her roots are in the water, and the vast majority of her roots are not. And some of you have asked how I know how much water they need, or if, like for instance, if they're in bloom, like the Golden Smile is giving them this little water a problem. So an orchid's gonna let you know pretty quickly if it's dehydrated. If you give them, just a tiny bit of water like that, and again, this is just to introduce them to the water and see how much they need. You don't want to like fill it with water and the orchid doesn't need that much water, and then you start rotting the roots. You want to kind of gauge your, each individual plant. I have some Phalaenopsis, I'll just pan around. I have some Phalaenopsis that just the bottom of their roots are in the water. And then I have some Phalaenopsis that a fair amount of their roots are in the water. But again, a lot of the roots are out of the water. So each orchid kind of has its own preference. I've spoke to you about mini phals. That is a crazy amount of water for an orchid, but if I don't keep this level for her, those blooms will droop. And that's one way that you can know if your orchid is in bloom and you transfer her over and you give her just a little bit of water and these blooms start to droop. She needs a little more water. So you can, you know, if you're really panicked, you can take her out, rinse her roots, and then give her a little more water, or you can just raise the levels a little bit. If they don't have blooms, their structures are going to start to wilt. You'll see the leaves will start to droop. And if you don't pay attention to that, then they'll start to crinkle and wrinkle and look leathery. With orchids that have pseudobulbs, excuse me, I'm sorry. Early in the morning and I haven't even finished my first cup of coffee, but I wanted to get this filmed just so that if the headache does come back this afternoon, this is done. Those pseudobulbs will start to wrinkle. Now, pseudobulbs, you know, on plants like this, quite frequently as they get older, they do wrinkle. So, you know, that's not always 100% sign, but if you get a plant and it has nice, firm, fleshy, non-wrinkled pseudobulbs, and all of a sudden they're starting to wrinkle, that's your sign. You know, you're gonna see signs from your plant that it's a little dehydrated, and you can just raise the water levels. But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to accomplish them getting used to the water without shocking them with the water. So like for instance, I'm going to show you the dendrobium. So I would put the water in. Just to the top of those glass beads. Okay. So you see how the top of the glass beads, that's where the water level is? She's actually sitting a little high in the glass. But just the bottom of her roots are touching the water. And so what we're doing at this stage is we've dried the roots out. We're just giving her a little drink so that she's not going to get dehydrated. But at the same time, we're still keeping our eye on those roots. If we flooded her with water, not only would the bad roots, you know, show themselves, but the good roots too could die if we suffocate them with the water. So, you know, it's really, this is a process of getting acquainted with the plant and what the plant's needs are. Over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, we're really going to realize what this plant likes, how quickly she drinks that water. If this water's gone by the end of the day, okay. This is a thirsty orchid and we've got to give her a little bit more water the next time we water her. You know, the same thing with the fine-rooted orchids. Like I've told you before, fine-rooted orchids, if they have a good root system, they love water culture. But the problem is they're so thirsty, it's hard to keep up with in water culture because you're not using moss, which is what they would typically be grown in, and that retains a lot of moisture. So your watering schedule with these fine-rooted orchids is going to have to be more than once a week, most of the time in the summer. But I'm going to try to show you. Let me just, oh, sorry. Put the clip back on and I'll show you how much water I'm going to give her. Hopefully. Let's see here. Oops, getting it on the table. But that's it. That's it. Just to the bottom of her roots. Just give her a little drink. See how she does. Don't want to overwhelm her roots. Don't want to speed up a rotting process on a bad root. We want to keep our roots as long as we can until she starts growing new roots. So yeah, err on the side of caution as far as water is concerned. Less is more. But yeah, the orchid's going to show you if it's not happy. It's either gonna, if it's a phalaenopsis, dump its roots. If it's a plant with pseudobulbs, the pseudobulbs are going to significantly change from what they were. So, you know, take note of how your pseudobulbs looked before you put them in water culture. If they, you know, after a couple of days look shriveled and I'll show you. I'll show you shriveled. I have that, but it's not because I did it. Let's see here. This is the one that is supposed to be Burgundian. Oh dear. Burgundian Too Sweet. I believe that's Purple Rain. I believe you sent me the wrong plant, but anyways, not only did they send me the wrong plant, but look at these terrible pseudobulbs. If that's what your pseudobulb starts to do, you need more water. So there are signs. Your plant's not just gonna up and die on you. There are signs that you'll see. And you know, I don't want any of my plants ever to do poorly. But if one of these orchids that I'm switching over with you does do poorly, I'm not really concerned because I kind of feel like it's an opportunity to show you how to fix it. Again, I watered the cattleyas already because I didn't want them to wait any further. They were very dry. You know, this is just a seedling. I didn't want to lose her. But basically, I just did what I said I was going to do in the video. This is my Hausermann's Sultan, and this is my yellow bird. So I just put the water all the way up to the top with the glass beads, let them sit in it for an hour, and then I drained it off out of these holes. And so now there's water in the reservoir, but there's no water, you know, sitting on their roots. And it's the same thing with the yellow bird. So you can see I watered them 2 days ago, and there's still a fair amount of moisture. Not enough to make the roots soggy, but a fair amount of moisture. You know, humidity left in that cup to, you know, hopefully branch them over till I water them again in a couple of days. But again, you're going to keep your eye on them. You know, some plants are more thirsty than others. Some plants are less thirsty than others. So you want to make sure you're getting acquainted with your plant during this process. So I hope you guys are all having a great weekend. I hope that you have a great week coming up. And I will talk to you all next time.